Mom, Dad, I've got 100 marks from today's art class. Whoa, what a gifted young guy you are. Please show me your artwork. During our customary family meal, my kid proudly displayed his artwork. He was very thrilled to show me his exquisite canvas. Look, Mother, it's Daddy, myself, and you. This is our family, a joyful one. Good job, my love. This is really lovely. Yes, you have a wonderful future ahead of you. I looked straight at my husband, Theo, who was absorbed in his phone. I posed a query in an attempt to get his attention. Our son is going to be a famous painter, isn't he, my love? My husband looked up as I flung the question at him, immediately putting down his phone. What, my dear, what did you say? He constantly looking at his phone, which made it obvious to me that he couldn't concentrate on us. Terence would become a well-known painter in the future, I said. Do you concur? He was once again absorbed in his phone and did not reply. I saw the disappointment in my son's eyes as he murmured to me, I really didn't want my son to experience this. Dad has a lot of work ahead of him. He's usually busy because of this. Let's wait for him to be done, and I have no doubt that this weekend he will take you somewhere amazing. My son's face lighted up as soon as I whispered those words. He turned to face his father. Wow, Dad, many thanks for that. I'm really excited about the weekend. You are the greatest. Terence bellowed with enthusiasm. Theo didn't seem to understand why his son had praised him. As the supper went on, Terence talked a lot and Theo paid less attention. We kept eating until Theo finally paid attention because of something my kids said. My art instructor advised me to participate in the school's art exhibition. You do know her, Father, Miss Clark. She was present at the most recent homeroom meeting. Yes, I guess. That's excellent to hear, though. Miss Clark will be an excellent instructor, I'm sure. What gathering? Is there a PTA meeting that I am unaware of? Well, my dear, it was a pressing matter. Miss Clark couldn't connect with you when you were at your mother's place, so she took me instead. I overlooked telling you. Ah, I see. I'm happy you covered for me. I saw nervousness in my husband's behavior. Terence discussed the meeting, and he kept glancing at me, shakily. I couldn't figure it out. Miss Clark could have easily contacted me via my phone. Everyone is aware of my involvement with Terence. Is something happening? My spouse was sleeping later that night, and I had a strong feeling he was keeping something from me. His inattentiveness and unwavering concentration on his phone were remarkably unusual for him. My son's inquiry on the encounter with Miss Clark came back to me. Everything appeared dubious. Theo's constant workload prevents him from attending school meetings on a regular basis. Despite this, my spouse kept the school visit a secret from me. But that in mind, I stole my husband's phone without letting him know. Okay, what do we have here? As I thumbed through his phone, I muttered. I skipped reluctance and went straight to his messages. At first, nothing seemed strange, much to my amazement. However, I was aware that something was concealed. After that, I came upon a contact named Art. Do you take me for a fool, Theo? I knew that was Miss Clark's phone alias, of course. I wasn't that stupid. He might have chosen a name that was less clear, at least. When I opened their messages, what I saw broke my heart. They had gone on covert dates and were messaging one another for a while. I was shocked to learn that Theo had missiled me. It was devastating to hear their I love you exchanged. Even worse, I came across communications in which Theo disparaged me. My spouse is a loudmouth. She always acts like a child and nags at me. In reality, I don't like her. The only reason I got married to her was because she became pregnant with Terence. I wasn't sure at first that the baby belonged to me, but whatever. Actually, it was she that tempted me to come to college. I'm stuck with her dumb face now. Not even one thing can she perform correctly. She is rather forgetful and awkward. What did I do to merit this foolish woman? As I read those messages, my heart fell. That night, I sobbed myself to sleep. When morning dawned, I went about my daily business. My family and I had breakfast that I made. Upon Theo's descent from our bedroom, I found it impossible to meet his gaze. "Love, good morning. You look stunning today." I smiled briefly in return. How stupid I was. He was kind to me every day, acting as though he would never do anything wrong. However, underneath all of that admiration was a disloyal and inconsiderate spouse. They completed their breakfast, and I said goodbye to them. I planted a kiss on my husband's cheek and gave my son a forced forehead kiss. "Oh, your kisses light up my morning every single day." Untruths. All of his statements were false. I was completely duped. He misled me into believing he loved me while, in reality, he hated me. That morning, I gave my mother a call. "Mom, I think Theo is being unfaithful." "Oh my, that is a deplorable charge. Why do you think that, my love?" I observed him texting Terence's art instructor. He also made derogatory remarks about me. On the other end of the line, I could hear a utensil dropping. I could only picture my mother's expression. "I'm so sorry, my darling. How are things going for you? Please discuss this with your hubby." I was at my breaking point. I sobbed uncontrollably. Simply put, my mother was there, hearing what I had to say. "Mom, I played my role. Every day, I provided for him. I blessed him with a son. I offered my life to him. Why would he treat me like this? What went wrong, if anything?" "Calm down, my dear. It is not you who is at blame. You made every effort to maintain your partnership. Your spouse made the decision to cheat on you. Simply act morally. Face him and make sure he feels the consequences of his actions." I followed my mother's guidance. I had to question Theo about his affair. I knew I had to face him. I made the decision and went to get my son from school. Right after I got there, I ran into someone. "Oh, Mrs. Thompson, you're here." Her voice didn't seem apprehensive or shocked at seeing me. "Miss Clark, I'm come to get Terence. Do you think you've seen him?" I assume he's teasing. As the mother, you have a right to know where your son is. It seemed as though she was speaking to someone less than herself when she spoke. She turned to walk away from me, but I noticed her sly smile. I instantly took hold of her arm and gave her a direct look. "Miss Clark, you know what you're doing. My spouse and you are having an affair. Mrs. Thompson, you are really smart, I have to say. Theo had misjudged you. You're still stupid, though. If you think he loves you, you're correct, of course. He would never have discovered me if you weren't such a dominating person. You too presume that I won't do anything about this. I'll see to it that you too bear the consequences. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Thompson. Will you create a commotion in this very school? Not, I wager. Not with young Terence's honor in jeopardy. He is an expert. Do you really want to ruin his chances for the future? Only as a result of your illusions. Mom, you're here." My son went to me and yelled out to me. When he drew close, I immediately collected myself and gave him a hug. "Look, Mom, an invitation to the art exhibition at the school. I represent the class. Terence, wow, you'll undoubtedly make your parents proud of you." Miss Clark spoke out, giving me a sarcastic smirk. "Do not be alarmed, Mrs. Thompson. I'll look after him." She held back. "Of your son, of course." Inside, I was furious. I would have disciplined her if my kid hadn't been around. "Please come with me home." My kid and I departed. My spouse was still glued to his phone over supper. "Love, can you put down your phone?" "Yes, indeed. Apologies. Once more, what was that?" "We were discussing Terence's painting competition the next week. Will you be attending?" "Well, naturally enough. Indeed. Son, will Miss Clark be your coach?" I nearly choked on my dinner. Was it truly a question he needed to ask? "Yes, Father. She is a really gifted art instructor. She also mentioned that you should stop by our classroom to view my artwork." I took a brief sip of my water while my husband cleared his throat. The dining room was filled with uneasiness. "I'll definitely carry it out." "What about Mom? Did she request that she attend as well?" My husband's voice was rife with apprehension. "No, Papa. It was explicitly requested that you attend. However, I'm not sure why she didn't ask for her mother. My spouse was gazing with anxiety when I looked at him. I had the impulse to confront him about his affair that night. However, I was worried that he would either confess or deny it. I have something to tell you. What is it, my love? I stepped back as he grabbed for my face. I know about your affair. His gaze became wide. What? What do you mean? Theo, stop it. The SMS messages were visible to me, particularly the ones in which you made fun of me. You're disrespecting me, Terence's wife, while having an affair with his art instructor. My partner chuckled. It's true, Jenna, so I won't dispute it. You were foolish, stupid. I had no choice but to become enmeshed with you. Right in front of me, he yelled. I started crying. I adore you unconditionally. How was I to be harmed in this way by you? I have to find a method to end this awful life. I had to leave you behind. I am cursed to be alive because of you. I was forced to marry you by your mother, and ever since, I've been imprisoned in this horrible place. You did nothing but give birth to my son. I was shocked by his statements. Then you could have left me from the start instead of pretending you were happy with me. If only it were that simple. However, I've now met someone who actually makes me experience what love is like. Please, Theo, do not leave us. I knelt before him and pleaded. I was shoved to the ground by him. He trod on his wedding band after throwing it on the ground. Observe that. We are married to each other. It is malfunctioning. I was inconsolable. I was shocked to hear him say those things. When he left us that night, I started crying. I gave my mother a call right away. Mom, Theo left. Oh, Jenna, are you for real? What's up with you? How is my grandchild doing? My mother's worry was palpable on the other end of the call. Mom, he walked out on us. He's heading to his mistress, I know that. He said he just got married to me because he didn't love me. Now where is that bastard? He is a monster for treating you like way. Never pursue him once more. Come back and ask for forgiveness if he still has any conscience. If he is an absolute douche, then leave him be. That is not what you deserve. Never forget that you have a beautiful boy who will always be by your side, and that is sufficient. My mother's comments gave me solace. Theo never came back to our place for days. Mom, when is Daddy coming back? Love, he's going to return shortly. He's just got a lot of work to do. I was out of things to be sorry for. My kid questioned me about Theo every day. Since his departure, I had not heard from him. He left no money behind to help support our son. I could support my son on my own, though. Finally, the day of Terence's painting show came. I noticed Miss Clark approaching us as soon as we got to the location. This woman had remarkable chutzpah. Terence. She bowed to my son's level as she gave him a warm greeting. She put her hand in his, but my son dismissed her instantly. Terence launched himself at his pals. Miss Clark got to her feet, clearing her throat. She smirked as she met my gaze. It's nice to have you back, Mrs. Thompson. By which I mean Jenna. I believe I've replaced Mrs. Thompson. Calmly, I answered, Miss Clark, I don't feel good seeing you either. She giggled. Avoid concern. You can continue to use that last name for the time being, but I'll soon take it from you. Terence will win today. I'm convinced of it. Since I've already won, enjoy your small party. Do you think it's appropriate to celebrate my husband's victory? Rethink your thoughts. Naturally, a person such as yourself would not value a man such as my partner, or even your ex-husband. She laughed and went with it. The contest had begun, and I wanted to hit her right then. Theo entered halfway through. He smiled back at Miss Clark, who had instantly given him a charming grin. What my son had painted piqued my interest. It was forbidden for us to view the artwork in advance. After the competition was over, the artworks and winners were unveiled. And the first place goes to Terence Thompson. The audience applauded. As he walked onto the stage, my kid grinned proudly. It was almost time to unveil his artwork. The audience hushed when the judge revealed the portrait. All eyes were fixed on Theo and Miss Clark. I gasped when I saw what my son had sketched. It showed Miss Clark and Theo holding hands in the background of the school. My youngster had witnessed them in action. Miss Clark hurriedly left the location. Theo expressed regret to everybody. I was consoled by several parents, but I hurried over to give my kid a hug. "Mommy, don't worry. He'll never harm us again. I swear." He then handed me a little canvas. It was a painting of my kid and I together, laughing and sobbing in our living room. "We're happy. Just the two of us," he said. I sobbed in his arms as I gave him a deep hug. Theo apologized and approached us. "Jenna, I truly apologize. I'll make things right. My kid, I really apologize. But I'd already made up my mind. Theo, it works better this way. My kid and I alone. You betrayed us both, and you won't be trusted again for a very long time. I'm hurt by you, and that hurt won't go away quickly. You have to learn your lesson the hard way this time. We are heading out of your life." Terence and I went to our car before he could answer. Miss Clark was standing by the door. "What do you want?" She stooped to plead. "Mrs. Thompson, I really apologize. Please don't take any action. Before you destroyed our family, you ought to have given it some thought. You two are going to pay the price." There, we abandoned her. The scandal's word traveled swiftly. Theo was demoted and Miss Clark was sacked from the school. I persisted in pursuing legal action to make sure that my kid and I were compensated fairly.
Hi, I'm Hannah, a 34-year-old graphic designer. My sister Elena, who's 38, and I have always been very close. She's married to Mark, a real estate agent, and they have 2 kids, Lily, who's 8, and Owen, who's 5. From the outside, Elena's life looks perfect, but I've always sensed something off about Mark. He's charming at first glance, but there's a coldness beneath the surface, especially when it comes to supporting Elena emotionally. Mark is obsessed with appearances and money, often focusing on his career while neglecting his family. He's always on his phone or out networking. I spend a lot of time at their house, helping Elena with the kids, and I've noticed how distant Mark is. When he interacts with them, it seems more out of obligation than genuine interest. One day, Mark suddenly brought up refinancing the mortgage. Elena, already stressed from work, brushed it off, but Mark was insistent, as if their finances were the only thing that mattered. It struck me as odd, especially with everything else Elena was juggling. Later, at the park with the kids, I asked Elena if Mark's behavior bothered her. She shrugged it off, saying he was just stressed, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The way Mark prioritized money and status over his family left a bad taste in my mouth. I knew this calm couldn't last forever. Then came the call, early in the morning, the kind you never want to receive. Elena's voice was trembling, filled with fear. "I went to the doctor yesterday. It's cancer, Hannah. Stage 3 breast cancer." My heart sank. It felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. "What did they say? What's the next step?" I asked, trying to steady myself. "They want to start treatment immediately. Chemo, surgery, everything. They're hopeful, but it's bad, Hannah. It's really bad." Elena's diagnosis hit us like a ton of bricks. I rushed to her house, where she sat at the kitchen table, pale and frightened. "We're going to fight this," I told her, trying to be strong, but something was off. Mark was acting colder than usual. Instead of comforting Elena, Mark started talking about selling their house. "We need to downsize and prepare for the worst," he said bluntly, as if it were just another business deal. Elena was stunned. "Mark, this is our home. We can't just sell it. The kids need stability right now." But Mark was adamant, having already spoken to a realtor and pushing hard to move forward with the sale. As days passed, Mark's behavior grew more suspicious. He was constantly on his phone, making secretive calls, and leaving the house without explanation. My unease turned to alarm when I overheard him discussing liquidating assets. I knew I had to investigate further. I soon uncovered the truth. Mark had listed their house for sale without telling Elena and was transferring money into a separate account, planning to leave her and the kids once the house sold. I couldn't let him get away with this. The more I thought about what he was doing, the angrier I got. I knew I had to act quickly before he finalized his plans, but I couldn't do it alone. Elena needed to see the truth, even though it would break her heart. "Elena, we need to talk," I said, sitting her down at the kitchen table, my hands shaking from what I had uncovered. "What is it, Hannah? You look like you've seen a ghost." I took a deep breath. "It's about Mark. I think he's planning to leave you and the kids." Her eyes widened in shock. "No, he wouldn't. I mean, he's been distant, but we're just going through a rough patch. He wouldn't do that." "I wish that were true, Elena," I said. "But I found proof. He's already listed the house for sale and is moving money into a separate account. He's been planning this for a while." Tears welled up in her eyes. "No, it can't be. Why would he do that? How could he? We've been together for so long." "I know it's hard to believe, but I have all the evidence. I'm sorry, Elena, but you need to see this for what it is. He's not the man you thought he was. I don't understand why now, why when I'm going through this. How could he be so heartless? Because he's a coward, Elena. He's running away from his responsibilities, from you and the kids, but we're not going to let him get away with it." She wiped her eyes, trying to regain her composure. "What do we do now? I can't just sit here and let him destroy everything we've built." "We're going to fight back," I said firmly. "But we need to be smart about it," I said firmly. "I've already contacted a lawyer and a financial advisor. They're going to help us protect your assets and gather all the evidence we need to confront him. We'll make sure he doesn't get a dime of what's yours." Elena nodded, a new determination lighting up her eyes. "I can't believe I ever trusted him, but I'm not going to let him ruin my life, not after everything I've been through." "Good," I replied. "But we need to be careful. We can't let him know we're onto him. We'll let him think his plan is working while we gather everything we need to take him down." It didn't take long to uncover the full extent of his betrayal. Mark had been seeing another woman for months, someone he'd met through his real estate work. He was planning to sell the house, take the money, and start a new life with her, leaving Elena and the kids with nothing. The more we dug, the more disgusted I became. One evening, after Mark had left for one of his secret meetings, Elena and I sat down to finalize our plan. "We're going to confront him," I said. "But we need to do it in a way that he can't talk his way out of." Elena looked at me with steely resolve. "How?" "At the next family gathering," I said, "in front of everyone. He won't be able to lie or manipulate his way out of it if there are witnesses." A grim smile spread across Elena's face. "Good. I want everyone to see him for what he really is." The plan was set. We would wait for the perfect moment when Mark was least expecting it and expose him in front of everyone. There would be no escape for him, no way to hide his betrayal. The day of the family gathering arrived, and the tension was palpable. Everyone had gathered at our parents' house, a place that had always been filled with warmth and love. Today, however, there was an undercurrent of anticipation and perhaps even fear. Mark, as usual, was smug and completely unaware of the storm about to hit him. Elena and I had rehearsed this moment countless times, but now that it was here, I could see the anxiety creeping into her eyes. Mark stood up to make some meaningless small talk, holding a glass of wine and flashing that fake smile of his. I could feel my anger boiling inside me, but I kept my composure. We had to do this right. "Mark, we need to talk," Elena said, her voice stronger than it had been in weeks. He looked at her, a slight frown forming on his face. "Can it wait?" I was just about to. "No," Elena cut him off, standing up slowly. "It can't wait. It's about the house. About everything." Mark's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" I stood up beside Elena, pulling out the stack of documents we had prepared. "We know what you've been doing, Mark. The secret accounts, the plans to sell the house, the other woman. It's all right here." The room fell silent. Everyone was staring at us, confused and shocked. Mark's eyes darted around, searching for a way out, but there wasn't one. "You've been planning to leave us," Elena continued, her voice trembling with anger. "You were going to sell the house, take the money, and leave me and the kids with nothing. And you were going to do it while I'm fighting for my life." Mark tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. He glanced at his parents, then at mine, desperately seeking support, but all he received were cold, accusing stares. "It's not what you think," he finally stammered. "I was just trying to." "To what?" I snapped. Abandon your wife and children, steal everything they have, and run off with your mistress. Don't even try to lie your way out of this, Mark. We have all the proof we need. Elena handed him the papers. As he flipped through them, I could see the panic setting in. He knew he was finished. You've made your choices, Mark, Elena said, her voice steady now. And now you're going to face the consequences. Before he could respond, our lawyer walked into the room, a stern look on his face. Mark, these papers are for you. You've been served. Elena is filing for divorce, and all your assets are frozen. You won't be able to touch a single cent. Mark's face turned ashen, his confidence evaporating as he looked like he was about to collapse. You can't do this. This isn't fair, he stammered. Fair? Elena shot back, her eyes blazing. You want to talk about fair after everything you've done? No, Mark, this is justice. This is what happens when you betray your family. Mark's parents tried to intervene, but our lawyer quickly shut them down. I'd advise you to stay out of this, Mr. and Mrs. Richards. Your son's actions have consequences, and he's going to have to deal with them. The room fell into a deathly silence as Mark realized there was no escape. His life was crumbling around him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Defeated, he slumped into a chair, the weight of his actions finally sinking in. I'm sorry, he mumbled, his voice barely audible. But Elena wasn't having it. Sorry doesn't change what you did. Sorry doesn't make up for the pain you've caused. You're going to pay for this, Mark, and no apology will fix it. As the reality of his situation hit him, Mark's entire demeanor changed. The confidence and arrogance were gone, leaving a broken man. Everyone in the room could see it. In the days that followed, Mark's life unraveled completely. His reputation in the real estate world was ruined as news of his betrayal spread. His mistress, who had only been interested in his money, left him the moment she realized he had nothing left. Mark lost his job, his friends, everything. Meanwhile, Elena began the slow process of healing. She focused on her treatments, determined to beat the cancer that had threatened to take everything from her. With the divorce proceedings underway, she gained full custody of the kids, and Mark was legally barred from accessing any of the family's finances. I stood by her side through it all, helping her rebuild her life piece by piece. It wasn't easy. There were days when the weight of it all felt overwhelming. But Elena was strong, stronger than she ever knew. One evening, after another long day of treatments and legal battles, we stood together in her backyard, watching Lily and Ellen play. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over everything. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I saw Elena smile. A real, genuine smile. We made it, she said quietly, squeezing my hand. We survived. I nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. Yeah, we did. The story has ended, but here's a question for you all. If you discovered that someone close to you was planning to betray you at your most vulnerable moment, would you confront them publicly like Elena did, or would you handle it privately? What would you do differently in her situation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm just a regular 8-year-old living in a tiny apartment on the outskirts of Chicago with my mom, Lisa. We don't have much, but I love her more than anything. Every weekend, we have this special tradition, pancakes at Mel's Diner. It's like our little slice of heaven. Sarah, honey, you ready for some pancakes? Mom calls out one Saturday morning. You bet. Can I get extra syrup this time? I bounce excitedly. We'll see, sweetie. Let's get going. As we walk to the diner, I notice Mom's hands are shaking a bit. She's been doing that a lot lately, but I try not to worry. At Mel's, we slide into our usual booth, and the waitress, Jenny, comes over with a smile. The usual for you too. You know what, Jenny, Mom replies, but her voice sounds different, strained. While we wait for our food, I chatter on about school and my best friend, Emma. Emma and I are working on this awesome science project. We're growing crystals. Did you know that, Mom? That's nice, sweetie. Mom interrupts, her eyes darting around the diner. She's already on her 3rd cup of coffee. Our pancakes arrive, but Mom barely touches hers. She keeps checking her phone, tapping her foot nervously. Mom, are you okay? I ask, syrup dripping from my fork. I'm fine, Sarah. Just eat your pancakes. Halfway through the meal, Mom stands up abruptly. I need to use the restroom. Stay here, okay? I nod, my mouth full of pancake. But as the minutes tick by, a knot forms in my stomach. The pancakes start to feel heavy, like lead. Where is she? An hour passes, then two. Jenny keeps glancing at me, concern etched on her face. You okay there, sweetie? Where's your mom? She went to the bathroom. I mumble, fighting back tears. Jenny frowns and heads to the back. When she returns, her face is pale. Sarah, honey, I think we need to call someone. And just like that, my world shatters. The realization hits me like a truck. Mom isn't coming back. She left me here, alone in a diner booth with half-eaten pancakes and a growing sense of terror. I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? Why would she leave me? The questions swirl in my head as Jenny makes a phone call, her voice low and urgent. I sit there numb as the diner bustles around me. Regular customers come and go, oblivious to the fact that my entire world has just crumbled. It'll be okay, sweetie, Jenny says, but I can see the pity in her eyes. It doesn't feel okay. Nothing feels okay. As I wait for whatever's coming next, I replay every moment of the morning in my head. The shaky hands, the distracted responses, the nervous glances. Were these all signs? Should I have seen this coming? The sound of sirens in the distance snaps me back to reality. This is really happening. Mom is gone, and I'm alone in a diner, about to face a future I never imagined. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would shape the rest of my life. A journey of betrayal, resilience, and ultimately justice. The sirens grow louder, and I see flashing lights pull up outside Mel's diner. My heart is pounding so hard, I think it might burst out of my chest. Sweetie, the police are here. They're going to help us figure this out, okay? Jenny says, her hand on my shoulder. I can only nod, my throat too tight to speak. Two officers walk in, their faces serious. Are you Sarah? One of them asks, kneeling down to my level. Yes. I manage to squeak out. I'm Officer Thompson. We're here to help. Can you tell us what happened? I try to explain, but the words come out all jumbled. Jenny steps in, her voice low. Her mother left her here. There's a note. Officer Thompson's partner talks to Jenny in hushed tones. I catch snippets like child services and emergency placement. Where's my mom? I finally blurt out. Is she coming back? The officers exchange a look that makes my stomach drop. We're going to do everything we can to find her, Sarah, but right now we need to make sure you're safe and taken care of. A woman in a suit arrives, introducing herself as Miss Carter from Child Protective Services. She talks to me in a gentle voice, explaining that I'll be staying with a foster family for a while. But I want to go home, I protest, tears streaming down my face. I know, sweetie, but we need to make sure you're safe and cared for while we sort this out. The next few hours are a blur. Miss Carter takes me to the Thompsons' house. No relation to Officer Thompson, just a coincidence. They seem nice, but all I want is my mom. Sarah, we're so glad you're here, Mrs. Thompson says, showing me to a small bedroom. I know this is scary, but we'll take good care of you. That night, I cry myself to sleep, clutching the stuffed bear Mrs. Thompson gave me. In the morning, Mr. Thompson makes pancakes, but they taste like cardboard in my mouth. Not hungry, kiddo? He asks gently. I shake my head, pushing the plate away. Days turn into weeks. I start a new school, but the other kids whisper behind my back. That's the girl whose mom didn't want her, I overhear one day at lunch. Shut up, Jake, my friend Emma snaps. She's been my rock through all of this, visiting me at the Thompsons whenever she can. Don't listen to them, Sarah, Emma says, squeezing my hand. They're just dumb. But the words still sting. At night, I have nightmares about being left alone in dark, scary places. One day, Miss Carter visits with news. Sarah, the police found your old apartment empty. Your mom, she took everything and withdrew all the money from your accounts. It feels like being punched in the gut. She's not coming back, is she? I whisper. Miss Carter just shakes her head, her eyes sad. I start seeing a therapist, Dr. Puddle. At first, I don't want to talk, but she's patient. It's okay to be angry, Sarah, she tells me one day. What your mom did wasn't fair. I hate her. I burst out, surprising myself with the venom in my voice. That's a valid feeling, but remember, her actions don't define you. Dr. Patel would often remind me. Slowly, with her help and the support of the Thompsons, Emma, and my neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez, who always brought homemade cookies, I began to heal. It wasn't easy, and some days were harder than others, but I was determined to prove that I wasn't unwanted. One night, as Mrs. Thompson tucked me in, I made a promise to myself. I'm going to build a life so amazing that my mom will regret ever leaving me. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find out why she did it. Little did I know that promise would set me on a path that would change everything. It's been 10 years since that day at Mel's Diner, and now I'm standing behind the counter at the Daily Grind, the cafe where I work part-time. I'm wiping down the espresso machine when I hear the bell above the door jingle. Welcome to the Daily Grind. What can I get for you? I start to say, but then freeze. Standing in front of me is a face I haven't seen in a decade but could never forget. Jenny? Her eyes widened in recognition. Sarah? Oh my God, is that really you? I nod, my throat suddenly tight. Yeah, it's me. Look at you, all grown up. Wow. How are you? We chat for a few minutes, catching up. I tell her about being adopted by the Thompsons, my upcoming scholarship to state. Then Jenny's face turns serious. Sarah, there's something I need to tell you about that day. My heart starts racing. What is it? Your mom, she didn't leave alone. There was a man with her. I remember hearing her call him Tommy. It's like the ground shifts beneath my feet. Tony? Did you tell the police? Jenny nods. I did, but they never found anything. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I've carried this for years, wondering if I should have tried harder to find you, to tell you. I'm reeling from this information. When my shift ends, I practically sprint to Emma's dorm room, bursting in without knocking. Whoa, Sarah, what's wrong? Emma asks, looking up from her computer. I spill everything Jenny told me. Emma listens, her eyes widening. Holy crap, Sarah. What are you going to do? I don't know, but I can't just let this go. I need to find out what happened. Emma spins her chair to face her computer. Well, lucky for you, you've got a best friend who's a whiz at online sleuthing. Let's see what we can dig up on this Tommy guy. For the next few weeks, Emma and I spend every spare moment researching. We create a makeshift investigation board in her dorm room, connecting bits of information with red string, just like in the crime shows. Look at this, Emma says one night, pointing at her screen. I found a bunch of complaints about a guy named Anthony Russo. He's got a history of dating single moms and then disappearing with their money. I lean in, my heart pounding. That has to be him. Emma, what if he manipulated my mom into leaving me? It's possible, Emma says cautiously, but Sarah, are you sure you want to go down this rabbit hole? It could be dangerous. I take a deep breath. I have to know the truth, Em. I've spent 10 years wondering why my mom abandoned me. If there's a chance she was manipulated or in trouble. Emma nods, understanding in her eyes. Okay then, let's do this right. We need a plan. We spend the next few days setting up fake social media accounts, trying to lure Tommy out. It's slow going, but finally, we get a hit. Sarah, look, Emma exclaims. I think I found them. There's a couple running seminars for single moms in Indiana. The guy matches Tommy's description and the woman, Sarah, I think it might be your mom. I stare at the grainy photo on the screen, my heart in my throat. The woman's hair is different, but those eyes, I'd know them anywhere. That's her, I whisper. That's my mom. What do you want to do? Emma asks softly. I straighten up, a plan forming in my mind. We're going to Indiana. And we're going to shut them down. Sarah, are you sure? This could be really dangerous. I look at Emma, determination burning in my chest. I'm sure. They've hurt people, Em. They're still hurting people. I can't let that continue. Emma nods, a slow smile spreading across her face. All right then, road trip to Indiana it is. But first, we need to call in some backup. I raise an eyebrow. Backup. Yeah, Emma says, reaching for her phone. I think it's time we got the police involved, real police, not just two college kids playing detective. As Emma dials, I stare at the photo on the screen. After 10 years, I'm finally going to get some answers, and maybe just maybe, some justice too. My hands are shaking as I walk into the police station with Emma by my side. We're here to meet Detective Martinez, I say to the officer at the desk. Detective Martinez, the officer who worked on my case all those years ago, steps out to greet us. Sarah? Is that really you? It's me, Detective. I have some information about my mother. We sit down, and I lay out everything we've discovered. Detective Martinez's eyes widen as he flips through our evidence. This is impressive work, Sarah. You'd make a hell of a detective. So will you help us? I ask, my voice trembling slightly. Detective Martinez nods. We'll set up a sting. But Sarah, you need to be prepared. This might not end the way you hope. The next few days are a whirlwind of preparation. We create a fake business profile, dangling the promise of easy money. Emma's tech skills come in handy as we set the trap. They've taken the bait, Emma says, showing me her laptop. They're coming to Chicago next week. The day of the sting arrives. I'm sitting in Mel's diner, which feels like a cruel twist of fate. Detective Martinez and his team are scattered around, posing as customers. You okay, kid? Detective Martinez asks quietly. I'm fine, I lie, though my stomach is in knots. The bell above the door jingles, and my heart stops. There they are, Tony and my mother, Lisa. She looks older, worn down, but it's undeniably her. Chicago PD. Freeze! Detective Martinez shouts, standing up. Tony makes a break for it but doesn't get far before he's tackled by an officer. Lisa just stands there, her eyes locked on mine. Sarah, she whispers, her voice breaking. I stand up slowly, my legs feeling like jelly. Hello, Mom. Oh God, Sarah, I'm so sorry. Tommy, he made me do it. I didn't want to leave you, I swear. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. You didn't want to leave me. You left me as a tip in a diner. Please, Sarah, you have to believe me. Tommy said if I didn't leave you, he'd hurt you. I thought I was protecting you. I shake my head, tears streaming down my face. No, you don't get to play the victim here. You abandoned me. Do you have any idea what that did to me? Lisa reaches out to touch me, but I step back. Sarah, please. I've regretted it every day. Can't you forgive me? I take a deep breath, steadying myself. No, Mom, I can't. What you did was unforgivable. I've built a life without you, and I'm doing just fine. As the officers lead Tommy and Lisa away in handcuffs, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. It's over, finally, truly over. The story has come to an end, but now I have a question for you. If you were in Sarah's shoes, would you have forgiven your mother? Or do you agree with her decision not to? What would it take for you to forgive such a betrayal? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could help others wrestling with similar dilemmas. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Hey there, I'm Sarah Thompson, 32 years old and absolutely thriving in my marketing career. My husband Mike and I are living the dream in our cozy suburban home, a place we work our tails off to afford. It's not a mansion, but it's ours, and that's what matters. On the surface, everything with Mike's parents, Robert and Linda Carter, seems great. We host big family dinners and are always ready to lend a hand when needed. But beneath that picture-perfect facade, there's more tension brewing than in a pot of my mom's famous chili. Just last Sunday, we had them over for our usual monthly dinner. I spent the whole day whipping up a pot roast, determined to impress Linda. As we sat down to eat, Robert cleared his throat. Sarah, this looks amazing. You've really outdone yourself this time. I beamed, feeling a surge of pride. Thanks, Robert. I hope it tastes as good as it looks. We started eating, and for a while, the only sounds were forks scraping plates. Then Linda chimed in, "Oh, Sarah, I meant to ask, you work in marketing, right? We were wondering if you could give us some advice on a little business venture we're considering." I nearly choked on my green beans. This wasn't the first time they'd fished for financial advice, and alarm bells started ringing in my head. Oh? What kind of venture? I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. Robert jumped in, eyes gleaming with excitement. It's an amazing opportunity a friend told me about. We could double our money in just a few months. I exchanged a glance with Mike, who looked just as uneasy as I felt. That sounds interesting, I said cautiously. But you know, high returns usually come with high risks. Maybe we could look at the details together. Linda waved her hand dismissively. Oh, don't worry about that. We trust our friend. Actually, we were hoping you might help us out with a small loan to get started, just a few $1,000s. The pot roast suddenly felt like a brick in my stomach. This wasn't the first time they'd asked for money, and it always made me uneasy. But whenever I voiced my concerns to Mike, he'd say, They're family, Sarah. We have to help out when we can. I forced a smile. Why don't we discuss this after dinner? Let's enjoy the food while it's hot. But as the evening wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. I told myself I was overreacting. They were family after all. What could possibly go wrong? Little did I know that uneasy feeling was a warning of the storm about to hit our lives. If only I had listened to it sooner. It was just another Tuesday when my world came crashing down. I was deep into a marketing campaign when my phone rang. The caller ID showed it was our bank. Weird, I thought, but I picked up anyway. Mrs. Thompson, this is Jerry from First National Bank. I'm calling about your missed mortgage payments. I nearly dropped the phone. Missed payments? There must be some mistake. We've never missed a payment in our lives. Jerry's voice was sympathetic but firm. I'm afraid there's no mistake, Mrs. Thompson. You're 3 months behind. My head started spinning. I thanked Jerry and immediately called Mike. Honey, we need to go to the bank. Now? An hour later, we were sitting across from a bank manager, staring at documents we'd never seen before. My stomach churned as I recognized the forged signatures, a crude imitation of our own. This can't be happening, Mike muttered, his face pale. Over the next few days, we pieced together what had happened. The trail led straight to Robert and Linda. They had somehow used our house as collateral for a massive loan, then defaulted on it. When we confronted them, it was like a scene from a bad movie. We stood in the living room, the air thick with tension. How could you do this to us? I demanded, my voice shaking with anger and disbelief. Robert at least had the decency to look ashamed. Linda, on the other hand, was all indignation. We had no choice, she cried. It was a foolproof investment opportunity. We were going to pay it all back before you even noticed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Foolproof? You put our home at risk for some get-rich-quick scheme. Mike, usually the calm one, was seething. Do you have any idea what you've done? We could lose everything. Robert tried to placate us. Now, let's not overreact. We can fix this. We just need a little more time. I cut him off. Time? You've had months. The bank is talking about foreclosure, for God's sake. Linda had the audacity to look offended. Well, if you had just loaned us the money when we asked, none of this would have happened. I saw red. Are you seriously trying to blame us for your fraud? Mike put a hand on my arm, his voice dangerously quiet. I think we're done here. We'll be talking to our lawyer. Don't contact us again. As we left, I felt like I was in a daze. How could the people who were supposed to love us betray us so completely? Back home, the reality of our situation hit me like a ton of bricks. Our dream home, the one we'd worked so hard for, was at risk because of their greed and stupidity. I broke down, sobbing in Mike's arms. What are we going to do? He held me tight, his voice determined. We're going to fight, Sarah. We're not going down without a fight. As I lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, I realized something. The unease I felt all those months ago wasn't just paranoia. It was my instinct trying to protect us. And from now on, I was going to listen to it. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of our battle. But one thing was certain. I wasn't about to let Robert and Linda Carter destroy everything we built. They had no idea who they were messing with. The next morning, I was up before dawn, fueled by a mix of anger and determination. I'd spent half the night researching lawyers and found Amanda Rees, a shark in a power suit who specialized in fraud cases. By 9 a.m., I was in her office. So Mrs. Thompson, walk me through what happened, Amanda said, her sharp eyes focused on me. I laid out the whole sordid tale, watching her expression darken. This is serious, but we can fight it. I'll start the legal proceedings immediately. As Amanda worked her magic, I decided to do some digging of my own. I started with a call to Mike's cousin Tom. Sarah, what's up? Tom, I need to ask you something. Have Robert and Linda ever asked you for money? There was a long pause. Yeah, they did. I lost my entire savings in some can't-miss investment opportunity. Why? My heart sank. You're not the only one. Over the next few weeks, I uncovered a trail of financial destruction. Aunt Martha, our old neighbor Jim, even Linda's own sister, all victims of the Carters' schemes. I gathered statements, documented losses, and built a case that made my blood boil. One night, as I pored over the evidence, Mike walked in looking exhausted. Sarah, it's 2 a.m. Come to bed. I shook my head. I can't. I'm so close to cracking this. Mike sighed. You need to rest. We both do. I felt a flare of irritation. How can you think about rest when we could lose everything? And how is running yourself into the ground going to help? He snapped back. We stared at each other, the tension palpable. This wasn't us. We never fought like this. I'm sorry, I said softly. I can't let them win. Mike's expression softened. He came over and wrapped his arms around me. We won't. But we need to do this together, okay? I nodded, realizing how much this was affecting us both. The next day, I met with Amanda to share my findings. This is gold, Sarah, she said, flipping through the documents. With this, we can not only save your house, but potentially bring charges against the Carters. I felt a glimmer of hope. So what's our next move? We gather all the victims, strength in numbers, and then we go after the Carters with everything we've got. I spent the next few days reaching out to everyone Robert and Linda had swindled. It wasn't easy. Some were ashamed, others afraid, but slowly they came around. We held a meeting at our house. The living room was packed, the air thick with shared anger and pain. They took everything from us, Aunt Martha sobbed. Jim, our ex-neighbor, nodded grimly, promised to double my retirement fund. Now I'm back to working part-time at 70. As I listened to their stories, my resolve strengthened. This wasn't just about Mike and me anymore. It was about justice for everyone the Carters had hurt. We're going to make this right, I promised them. Together we're going to make sure Robert and Linda can never do this to anyone else. As everyone left, Mike pulled me aside. I'm proud of you, you know that? I smiled, feeling truly hopeful for the first time in weeks. We're not out of the woods yet, but we're fighting back, Mike finished, his voice resolute, and we're doing it as a team. That night, as we lay in bed, I felt a shift. The fear and anger were still there, but now there was something else too. Determination, hope, and the unshakable knowledge that no matter what happened next, Mike and I would face it together. Little did Robert and Linda know, their day of reckoning was coming, and I was going to make damn sure they never saw it coming. The day of the court hearing arrived, and I felt like I was going to be sick. As we walked into the courtroom, I saw Robert and Linda for the first time in months. They looked smaller somehow, less intimidating. Amanda squeezed my arm. You've got this, Sarah. Just tell the truth. As I took the stand, I locked eyes with Linda. She looked away first. Mrs. Thompson, can you tell the court what happened? I took a deep breath and laid it all out. The forged documents, the unauthorized loan, the years of manipulation. With each word, I felt stronger. And it wasn't just us, I concluded. They've been doing this for years to countless others. The defense tried to paint it as a misunderstanding, but Amanda was relentless. She brought forward victim after victim, each story more damning than the last. Halfway through the proceedings, a commotion erupted in the gallery. A man I didn't recognize burst in, waving papers. Your Honor, I have information relevant to this case. Turns out, karma had perfect timing. The Carters' foolproof investment had just imploded spectacularly, taking what was left of their money with it. As the judge reviewed the new evidence, I watched Robert and Linda crumble. It was over, and they knew it. The verdict came swiftly. Not only did we keep our house, but Robert and Linda were facing serious jail time and multiple lawsuits. Outside the courthouse, Mike hugged me tight. We did it, Sarah. It's over. But it wasn't over, not really. As we drove home, I couldn't shake the faces of all the other victims. Mike, I said suddenly, I want to start a support group for people like us who've been victims of financial fraud. He smiled. I think that's a great idea. Over the next few months, we rebuilt our lives. We cut all ties with Robert and Linda. Last I heard, they were serving time in separate prisons. Good riddance. Our support group grew quickly. Every week, we'd meet in our living room, the same room where this whole nightmare started, but now, instead of tension and betrayal, it was filled with hope and healing. One night, after everyone had left, Mike found me staring out the window. Penny for your thoughts. I turned to him, feeling a wave of gratitude. I was just thinking, as horrible as this all was, I'm almost glad it happened. He raised an eyebrow. Really? I nodded. It taught me to trust my instincts. It showed me how strong we are together. And now we're helping others. That's pretty amazing, don't you think? Mike pulled me close. You're pretty amazing. As we stood there in the home we fought so hard to keep, I realized something. The Carters had tried to take everything from us, but they failed. In fact, they'd given us something invaluable: the knowledge that we could face anything as long as we faced it together. Life isn't always fair. Sometimes the people who should love you the most end up hurting you the worst. But here's what I've learned: it's not about avoiding betrayal. It's about how you rise above it, how you take that pain and turn it into something meaningful. And that's exactly what we did, one day at a time, one person at a time. We're making a difference, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. If you were in my position, would you have ever considered forgiving Robert and Linda for what they did? Is there a line that, once crossed, makes reconciliation impossible, even with family?